Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast where I talk about the startup journey, how you go from zero to one, how you raise funds, about all the challenges that you face. Today's guest is Dr. Harsh Sethi. He is a veteran with 40 years of experience building different startups. Right now, he has built Trinano. From last 3.5 years, he has taken it from 0 to 7 crore in funding. Let us understand from him how he did this 3 CR revenue and closed multiple rounds of investments.
So we have now been able to raise the first round, which I told you was 3.1 crore. After that, we got some government funding and investment too. So Department of Science and Technology has invested in debentures. There is interest. The paperwork is going on. They have approved for almost about 2 crore. Then there is a European, Austria-based investor. So they are coming on board for another 2 crore. We have got couple of other climate tech-based, VCs. They have given us some money.
If you can talk a bit about Trinano, what it does, that would be great.
So actually, when we talk of solar panel, we are cells to actual solar panel to the field. There's always a drop in the efficiency. Cell, they talk about 24%. When we talk of panels, it comes down maybe around 20, 21. And then on the ground, when you're actually installing it, it may be somewhere close to 17, 18. So we are trying to bridge that gap with our 3D quantum cladding, which we are doing on the glass surface. It could be for any panel, any brand, any make, any type, any age, any location. We increase the power output, so thereby increasing the revenue. We cut your operation expenses by cutting down the cleaning frequency and use of water. We cut your investment cost by increasing the life of the panel. So we are agnostic to panel brand, make, type, age, location, and we increase the output, reduce O&M, and reduce the investment cost. In Maharashtra, we have about roughly about 20 gigawatt of installed capacity, 18 or 20 gigawatt. If the quoting is applied, then city of Mumbai and Thane would get free electricity. Just with 3%, they would get free electricity. So that is the enormous change that can be brought about. We have to harness because God has given us good solar sunlight. If we can use it in an optimum way, cut down on water usage or unnecessary expenditure on cleaning, I think more and more people would adopt. Our energy independence would be closer to what we aim for.
How do you assess how much you need to raise right now and at what valuation? This is the most asked
Yes.
question.
Yeah, it's a very tough question. Actually, that depends on the need. So normally in India, we generally say कि नहीं देंगे because the moment you feel that मैंने 22% से ज्यादा दे दिया तो वो बोर्ड पे आ जाएंगे, then they will have a voting right and they will interfere.
Yes.
Take in a positive way or negative way is entirely up to the founder, because sometimes the investor who comes and sits on your board comes with a different skill set, because they're coming maybe with the finance background, with the market background, with the customer context background. If you think that they add value, then why not give them bigger equity? But when you're ready, that yes, this is, see, we were doing for almost 2 years, we were doing at a lab scale, and that time our money requirement was not much. But when we thought of commercialization, and when we thought of that we have to do bigger projects, that's where we felt the need that we would need money. In any founder's journey also, you may have idea and you may need at the idea stage some money. Right now the government gives a lot of funding, so you may not need to dilute your equity. Government gives 20 to 50 lakhs, and then there are Anveshan scheme and R&D. Government supports to R&D and all that. So there are a lot of schemes by which, if you are in the circle and if you are aware, then maybe you don't need to dilute your equity at that stage. But once you are commercialization, and at that point of time, from let's say TRL maybe 6 to 8 or 9 you're looking at, then yes, you may need funding. Even at that point of time, there are options available. If you are comfortable of your financing of your commercial model, You can even go for debt funding. There are banks giving money. Interest rates are higher, definitely 8-9% में नहीं मिलता है, 16, 18, 20, 24 तक मिलता है परसेंट रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट पे. बट देन that is also a source, because equity is something which we feel it's on paper, क्या है दे दिया, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, but then it will affect you in long run. So be aware of that, that when you take up this dilution, you really
Yeah.
need the money, and then you are able to show to the investor what are you going to do with that money, and how are you going to jump from current scale to a scale where you can see some growth in the company.
So basically, a solid plan that really
Yes.
gives them a picture to the investor on how they are going to earn if they invest right now.
Yeah. I mean, you should not be taking money like, okay, I want to expand my house or I want to buy a new car. Those, no. When you're doing it for business, you should have a plan that with this money, I'm going to go here. From here, I want to go here. So these are certain milestones you should set about and a growth plan. Then investor would be willing to talk to you.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree to that. And when these founders are, when they start raising funds, it happened with me when I used to talk to investors. One question is how we can qualify the investors also, because when you start talking, there'll be a lot of different type of investors. A lot of them would be doing it for research. A lot of them would just waste your time with not really solid commitments. So how to filter out the investors and choose the right ones?
Great question, because as a founder, you have your value of your time, you have limited time, and you have multitude of tasks. And talking to investor and getting the investment takes a lot of time. Trust me, it takes a lot of your time. So you have to focus. Certain times, certain investors, they don't invest in the sector you are in. I'm just giving example. Like we
Yeah.
are in renewable energy space. A investor who is doing in AI, ML, or maybe B2C, they won't be interested in this. So first you have to do your own homework as to whom do we approach. And then at times you also need to know like at what level in that company should I be talking to. So there, try to do a homework, because now, because of the information available, you can actually see who will be the right person, and maybe you try to build contacts through them, to that person through your social networking, your social media, maybe interacting at common forums, meetings, gatherings, etc. Try to build that connect and then do it, because just writing blindly to somebody that I need a check of, he's definitely he's not going to write that. So there has to be some basis to you, that he sees you as a credible person with lot of common contacts that I can trust upon. So I know you, Usha. I have known her friend, and we know each other through this and that. So that credibility comes in. And then when I'm that time, I would be amenable or open to your ideas of what is your product, what are you going to do. So then those opens up opportunities for you. So this is something which any founder should look at, like not just jump and straight away asking that. That doesn't work. Sorry, that doesn't work. You will have to cultivate and build your network and slowly talk to the right people. Generally, quite a lot of times you will meet some analyst and all. Yeah, you can send them
Yeah.
pitch, but that doesn't help. Normally, you need to talk to somebody higher up in the company who will take decisions or at least discuss in their board. So that for that you need to build context. You need to have proper your social fabric where you are able to connect to those dots.
And so one thing, and this comes from talking to investors, that they can smell the desperation, and that really, it just screws up the whole deal
Yeah.
or a lot of times towards the closure, because then they know the founder is really desperate and they can really put the terms in their favor. I hope it really gets through, but a lot of time, what can we do? What can a founder do the things to actually close these deals? And these are literally, 2, 3, 2, 3 CR, 5 CR, even 10 CR worth of deals. So how to actually within the conversations and number of follow-ups, how do we just directly close it? Do we have to be straightforward with them that right now should we give them a timeline that we have to close it within a month of something? What works?
Yeah, basically, when you're talking to founder, investor normally asks founder, "What is your runway?" And
Yeah,
you generally tell them that this is my runway, or they will ask you your financial details. They'll ask, like, bank statements and past financial records and all that. So they have a fairly good idea of what is what level of water you are in, how much kitne pa. Now, coming to the point of desperation,
yeah,
yes, a lot of founders do that, but that's a mistake, very common mistake we do, because then you're giving the key to the other person, and he would, it's a fact. So one, he understands that you are desperate, then they will try to manipulate things somewhat to their favor. And that's very practical thing in the world. It's, I wouldn't say it's right, I wouldn't say it's wrong. That's the way it is. You have to be cautious about that. Giving facts that yes, we are looking at a timeline of this much. Maybe you have a timeline of 6 months. You tell them that I would rather close it in 5 months, so I have enough runway to continue the operations.
yeah,
And those times, there may be times when really you are stuck. You don't have money to continue and all that. So you have to keep your options open. Maybe one investor आपको लग रहा है कि वो तो कर ही देगा, but then there may be possibilities that the deal may take some time. Like in our case, we had an investor from overseas. Everything was done. We had a term sheet, and finally it turned out that there are Chinese involved in it. The deal didn't go through because we are in energy sector. The deal didn't go through. I mean, when the KYC was done, there had a lot of Chinese on the board of the company, and it was a European company for that matter. Who would have guessed? So, if we would have depended on that single, investor, then it wouldn't have come to this stage. So you have to keep your options open. You're simultaneously talking to maybe another investor also. Simultaneously, you may be talking to a bank also, or maybe applying to grants also, government
yeah.
funding. There are CSR funding, there are government grants as well. So keep your options open. That's why I say that this particular thing takes a long time of the founder. And there you cannot ask anybody if you represent me. An employee will not represent you. There, a founder has to be there. He has to present. He has to make that pitch. He has to talk for himself. So there it takes long time. So ensure that, yeah, you have multiple options available, and do not show desperation. You play your cards well. That's the main thing.
Yes, absolutely. And you also spoke about investors overseas. So a lot of founders with Indian community, I think they have started learning on how they can approach, but still the overseas investors still remain out of reach. So how do we actually get in touch with them or build the network there?
One thing I would say that I mean, what I learned is that when you are member of different associations, like we are member of FICCI, we are member of CII, we are also member of MSME chambers, India American Chamber or India Middle East Chamber. There are trade delegations coming in. India also has come up very well in terms of startup community, startup culture, startup number of startups that we have in India. So
Right.
the overseas investors normally prefer that you have a presence there, and then they will invest in that body. But it's not easy for us to go and open our office in Paris. It's not easy.
Easy.
The
Yeah.
cost are prohibitive. You have a team here. How do you take it there? So, but when you are going through these trade bodies, that question is partially solved, because those who are coming to these trade bodies, they are looking for agreement, common trade agreement, or some kind of engagement with Indian companies. So that's where it's not like 10 out of 10 companies would do that, but maybe you will find somebody who's willing to come. And there are always representation from Indian government side. They ask startups also to present. And so I've been a couple of such maybe delegations or maybe, groups where we have been to Australia, Australian side, presenting them, or maybe European side. So that could help. Otherwise, finding a contact there, opening an office there, it would be a prohibitive cost. Like opening an office in US, it's not easy. Like
Yes.
even though you may open a representative office, but then you maintain it, you have to understand the laws, the compliances, the other regulations. So don't jump to that, because normally all these foreign investors factor is that if the company is in their country, then it's easy for them to see the progress and invest. But we are asking them to invest in India, which is foreign to them. Naru-
Exactly.
Pata nahi. So that trust factor has to come through some trade body. So that would help. My suggestion is to become member of certain trade bodies and through them try to approach these investors.
Understood. I think that would be really helpful for people because whenever they think about setting up a business, as you said, it's very costly to set up an office in Delaware or SF.
Yes.
So, yes, I think this state bodies would really help out the investors the founders who want to expand to different countries and raise investments later on. Another thing I noticed for a lot of founders who have found some breakthroughs, another challenge is meeting the right kind of people who would take them to the next, who would actually help them in their growth journey and not just get stuck or get confused with people who are uh, just taking your time without giving anything to you. How to, meet such right people.
It's again a good question, because a founder may have a certain set of skill set, but when you're talking of a commercial enterprise, of a commercial company which is out
Yes.
to make profits and be there in the commercial world, then you need a multitude of skill set, and therefore you need supplementary roles which can be, you have to hire, or you may have to get people on board. So there are, I mean, from 1990s to today, there has been a very good change in our ecosystem for the betterment of startups. There is a good support system, accelerator, incubator, all are there. There are people who are there to support in different fields, wherever you are, like starting from AI, which is very, very common, to even hardware based or even for social causes. There are companies who support. But then the point is that you should be able to meet and you should be able to open up. Sometimes we feel, अगर मैंने बता दिया तो मेरा तो टेक्नोलॉजी खत्म हो जाएगी, somebody would steal my technology. Yeah,
Yes.
that fear is there, but then somewhere you have to make a line where at least some part of it you can talk to your friends or some acquaintances or some experts and get their advice on. And I believe that in that way you should open up, you should be meeting people, you should be talking not just about getting funding, but generally making some social contacts, attending events. We have in Sign also, they arrange events, they arrange a lot of online forums are there where you get to meet people and interact. So those kind of things help founders to meet other like-minded people, and there may be some uh, synergy where you can find somebody who is willing to take on with you, or you are able to help somebody. So that kind of ecosystem would help any entrepreneur on their journey.
Can you take us back to how your entrepreneurial journey actually started?
1990s, four field of startups. By the time I got married also, so my father-in-law was insisting that I should get a proper, settle down, get a proper job, because I was already married. So I took up a job again. Then again 2 years did the job, went back to with दिमाग का कीड़ा गया नहीं. Again 1999, then I thought that this realized that material science based startup, which is very capital intensive, was not my cup of tea. I have to look at something else. So 1999 started company called Neon Infotech.
Wow.
That was purely on consultancy with just two people, only two people. And we used to provide process optimization energy efficiency consultancy, design consultancy, engineering design and all. So initial 3 years, again, the economic situation was bad. I mean, there was a economic crisis happening in Southeast Asia. So
Yeah.
that happened, didn't get any or, and people were not like दो जन की कंपनी में कौन who are you, which consultant are you talking about, like people
Yeah.
were believing in bigger companies. So we slowly started saying that try us, at least give us a chance. And then third year we got our first order, which was substantial. And then the journey picked up. Then it, like word of mouth, you start to pick up the clients, and then we gradually grew. So today, I mean, the company which I started, Neon Infotech, is there still after 25 years, have offices not just in India, but in Thailand, in Myanmar, in Korea. That time we had also operations all over Southeast Asia, Dubai and US also. So that grew well. And then around 2016, 15, 16, oil prices had gone up very high. So $140 a barrel. And government was pushing for cutting down oil import bill. So they started asking all these oil companies to cut down on oil. And that's where the this blending of ethanol, this
Yeah.
ethanol blending came in. But government also started pushing for renewable energy. So one
Yeah.
of our client with whom we were working for more than 10 years, they decided to invest in solar. And they said that they'll put up a solar plant. And they asked us, because we were consultants, so they said, आप ही करके दीजिए, डिजाइन करके कैसे लगेगा, क्या लगेगा.
Mm.
It's a child's play. When you design a refinery and you design a solar plant, it's like this much of a gap from refinery to solar plant. So we did that. And that time, the power purchase agreement rates were fantastic, 13, 14 rupees, not even heard of. Imports were allowed from China. They got a lot of bank loans, government subsidies, tax rebates, and all. They enjoyed everything. And they put up the plant. After a year or so, because it was a government entity, so they
Yeah.
put up the plant next to their refinery, and they, by virtue of that, they have to use the local labor also, villagers.
Right.
We were never taught. चाइनीज को वीजा भी दिक्कत होता था आने के लिए. So they got the panels, they installed it, but then nobody taught the villagers or the labor as to how to clean it, how to maintain it. And they
Yes.
used to climb on the panels and ragad ke, by force they used to clean it. So
Mm.
after maybe year and a half, they started having the drop in the output because micro cracks developed and all. And
Yeah.
then they started comparing the revenue of the refinery, the plant. It was a 120 megawatt plant. So it's a big plant.
Yeah.
And space requirement is also very big. So they
Yes.
started saying, Arey, refinery mein we are earning millions of dollars. We don't get even millions of rupees. What's the problem? So then
Yeah.
they asked me to prepare a report, like what are the challenges, what are the issues because of which the revenue is so low. So I prepared the report. I explained them that this is solar. You can't expect revenues like this, of
Yeah.
course. And secondly, there were challenges basically regarding the efficiency of the panel. It was polycrystalline. Technology was not that good at that time.
Right.
And then the issues of operation maintenance, cleaning, etc. So when I submitted to the board of that company,
Yeah.
they said that this is good, but then this is on paper. You have to do something about it. So,
Yeah.
sir, what is expected from me? I asked them, like, what is expected? No, no, you should come out with us. You're a materials engineer. Why are you asking us? You should do something, prepare something. And they said that we'll support you. I asked, like, explain me what is you prepare a solution which can solve these issues and come and apply. Okay. Then it was a challenge. I was always of the habit that something new must be done.
Yeah.
Okay, I said I'll try my best, and then I started looking at that. During that time, I was looking at the material properties,
Yeah.
simulation, what could be done, what material properties would suffice, what is the structure. And all. During that time, I met Dr. Mrs. Anshu. She was working on green chemistry because when I was doing my work, I realized that organic coatings are very commonly used, but they don't last. So I met her. I explained her this is the challenge. Then during the same conference, we met Dr. Tanujal also, who was working on nanotechnology. So all three of us, we had just a informal, like, this is the problem. I am working, I explained them, I am working on this material set of properties, and this is what I think. They said, yeah, this could work. So let's try something. So we started using the labs and then coming out with the material properties. So went back to that company and showed them that, see, this is what we have thought of. What do you think? Straight away reject. Paper, don't come up with the paper ideas. Come up with the proper solution. Then what do you mean by proper solution? No, no, you have to come up with a product. Okay. So we went back. I went back to the lab, did it on a microscopic plates and showed them. I mean, we compared the results. We found that the results are very good. So we went with microscopic plates. Again, they rejected. They said, do it on the panel. Fair enough. Came back, did it on panel. They were small panel because we on the lab, in the lab, we couldn't get bigger
Yeah.
commercial size panel. We did it with small panel. So 10-watt panel. Went back to them, showed them that this is the result they have got. So it we're close to 2019 already. In past 19, already 1.5, 2 years have been spent. So they
Yeah.
said, do it on commercial size panel. So, sir, we don't have it. They gave us the panel, and they were from Chinese brand. I still remember Dimco and Trina Solar.
Okay.
And they gave it to us in the lab because our machinery was like 200 width, 200 square box. So the
Yeah.
panels were like 1 meter by, I think, 1.1 meter, two square meters roughly. So
Mm.
they said, do it with this machine. How can you do it? But we thought, let's try. So we took almost 4 days to do the coating. Full days, complete day, night, it was done. And then we completed somehow and we installed it on the rooftop and start monitoring. So initial results were good and they said, okay, let's monitor over a period of time and then we'll decide. But then the
Yeah.
COVID stuck. So
Mm.
then you can't go anywhere. You're not allowed to approach the customer. You're not allowed to have the test. You're confined to home, basically. So that time, nothing could be done for almost 1.5 to 2 years, nothing. Then 2021, October, we approached them that COVID is now over. These are the results. They said. So when we approached them, there were 4 people in the beginning when we had contacted them. Out
Yeah.
of 4, 2 had already retired.
Okay.
One moved to another department. And the fourth one who was there, he said, this is too late. The company focus has shifted. Now we are not interested in solar. We want to go for green hydrogen, fuel cell, those kind of technology. So you better work on that. We were like, what? How do we work on that? This is already there. They said, no, no, this company, this government, semi-government, company, therefore the mandate has changed. Now we are not looking after solar. This is already a established technology. So we would like you to focus on green hydrogen or fuel cell. So you do research on that. We'll support you. We were like, sir, we have spent 5 years on this, and to go
Yeah.
back to something new, it's not easy. So they said, no, no, this is what I have. I mean, the person there was the VP. He said, this is what I can offer you because I'm bound by the rules and mandate of the company. So I can't do anything. We came back. That year, as around November, December, I happened to go to Delhi and I met a couple of my, batchmates and one of the acquaintances. He introduced me to MNRE. So I
Okay.
made a presentation there with scientists there, Dr. Arun Kumar, Dr. J.K. Jitani, etc. And I explained them. And also that time I met ISA International Solar Alliance. So they gave me time in the evening after 5. I had asked them for 5 minutes. They said, okay, come. When I explained, we sat for more than 2.5 hours. They said, the technology, the idea looks promising, but then whatever you did, you have to do it again. The question was, what do I need to do again? You have to redo the testing and at the labs which are government approved. So I said, I don't have money. I mean, I already spent so much time. They said, no problem, we'll support you. So they introduced me to NICE, National Institute of Solar Energy in Delhi. and then NCPRE, IIT Bombay. They said you contact them and they will do it at a reasonable price. So that was a breakthrough, actually breakthrough, because normally these labs they charge for testing like 50, 60 lakh rupees minimum. NICE did not charge me at all, and NCPRE was charged was something like 80,000 rupees or something, very very nominal. So we started doing the testing. Initial results were positive. We went back to MNRE, showed them. They said, okay, we'll support. So on MNRE website, they put it that yes, this technology is there. So I asked them, now what next? I thought MNRE has, published about us. So this would be done. Now we should be awash with orders and paper customers. They said,
Yeah.
you have to contact. If we will, MNRE is not going to contact, you have to contact. Oh, okay. All right. So then we have to contact. Then what do we do? You have to, there is endorsement, but you have to contact the customers and all. So then when we started making contacts with the customer, we thought we'll contact some big ones, bigger names like Vari, Adani, Tata, and one
Yeah.
of them we get it, we are through. So initial approach December 2022, Vari and Tata we approached, and we started doing the testing. That time we realized that there is no international standard for testing of the coatings.
Okay.
Nothing, not in India, not international also. So every
Yeah.
customer had their own way of testing, their own set of parameters and all. So
Yeah.
it would take time, like 6 months, maybe 8 months and all. And then, so when we did pass through that, from 2022, it became 2023 now. So 2023, the results were positive. They started asking us, okay, now what is your capacity? We were still at lab scale doing maybe 1 megawatt maximum from initial first trial which we did for that oil company. Now
Yeah.
we were able to do it in 20 hours per panel, but still it's a long time. So they said, no, no, 20 hours is too long. This is not commercially viable.
Yeah.
Once you think that you can do at scale, then you come back to us. Question again, what is scale, sir? What do we need to do? So they
Yeah.
said their throughput is 86 panel an hour. We were doing 20 hours, one panel. So like big difference. But
Yeah.
then they said this is what you need to do if you want to work with us. Came back, we started looking at, okay, now what do we need to do? So for we had a small machine, but to make it for a commercial scale, that means we need funding, we need support. So then the whole question of came out that okay, we'll take space outside the campus, and then we
Mm.
registered the company and got rental space in Navi Mumbai, started doing smaller projects and generating revenue. Meanwhile, MNRE also supported by guiding us to some grants. We got incubated at IIT Bombay, sign IIT Bombay. So they also help us getting some grants. So that's how the journey started. I mean, money plays an important role. So small amounts of money and then doing some commercial projects, they have got us through. When we were doing the small projects, we thought instead of just quoting, we will take EPC projects complete. Like if let's say you're putting rooftop solar, then we will buy the panel, we'll install it, we'll do the coating. So that way we could get a better revenue. So we
Yeah.
have had that kind of approach and started generating. Thankfully, things are a bit smoother now. It's still uphill task. It's not, the journey is not yet over, but then we are better off than what we were 3 years back.
Thank you so much for sharing the whole journey. When you were just building Neotech, you started with two people and you went to like so many cities and countries. For anyone who is just starting from one place, how to actually be at a point when you can build the expertise, or what should be the revenue that one should start thinking about going to other countries?
I feel that, let's say, once you are confident of your product and once you are confident that it fits the market requirements very well, then you are establishing in one country. Let's say at that time we were establishing in India. Right now we are establishing in India because we are trying to capture more market. But at the same time, we are also trying to see what are the opportunities outside, because you cannot do, it's not a sequential event. It's a parallel event. You have to look at, as an entrepreneur, you have to devote some time at looking at what could be the opportunities outside also. And if that fits you well, like maybe somebody finds some market overseas better than India, then maybe that's your answer. You should not be restricting yourself while you are working on that. Then try to explore opportunities abroad. You have to understand your strengths as well. Right now, we are looking for joint venture possibilities, possibilities where we could partner with somebody or we could license our technology. So these are some avenues where you grow, and an ecosystem. As an ecosystem, you let others partner with you and grow together.
Yeah. And when you said, when you had to literally pivot, because a lot of times people whom we are depending on. So I have heard stories where the founder has gone to the investor. They said they would need a few changes in the product to be for them to invest in that. And when they actually took so much time to change the product, when they go back to the decision maker, they just say, our priorities have changed. It is very simple for the person to say, but it takes a lot of effort for the founder who has gone through all the experiments, all the hard work. And literally, that is the point where most of the people just drop it.
Yeah.
But in your journey, you did not. So, can
Yeah.
you tell us?
I completely understand your question, because I have been through that journey where when we had gone to that investor or backer, they simply said, no, we are not interested. So that time, for a entrepreneur or for a founder, the whole world crashes down. It's not easy to switch. Maybe some pivoting is okay. Maybe investor or a VC is telling you which is coming from his vision of worldliness or his market exposure, etc. So you may look at the possibilities, but complete pivot is a very difficult task, because you will have to start all over zero, is
Yeah.
start from scratch. So there you have to take a call that whether this pivoting is a small minor change which I can accommodate in my journey, or it is something which I have to start fresh. What I did was, we had belief that this product is good because we had got good results. We thought that it is possible, but then there are, of course, doubts about yourself. Somebody was going to invest in it or not. There
Yeah.
may be market fit, but otherwise, it's always going to remain lab. So, commercialization, that valley of death is very important to cross over. And therefore, uh, that tenacity, that belief in yourself, and that you know perseverance are very important in any founder, in any entrepreneur. From the investor point of view, when he's telling you to pivot, is it really meaning to enhance my business? If it is not, then you stay what you are and you try to look for other options.
Just taking the decision on whether you want to go that place or not, or do those changes or not. If it is good for your business in the long term, a founder really needs to think that through before
Yes.
just
Yes.
jumping on such decisions.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great. And coming to Trinano, and now we understand how you built Trinano, and you have taken it to a point now when you are already raised 7.1 crore. Am I right? And now there are more funds you are just finalizing from investors. And this is one of the very important things that a lot of founders have come across. They have the traction, they have really good product, just closing, even they are able to meet a lot of investors, let's say, but they're not able to close it. So that journey of meeting an investor, how to find the right investors to even closing the deal, if you can just help with that.
Yes. So just to let you know, we raised 3.1 already, and we have soft commitments. Paperwork is going on for another 7.1. We have got a couple of other investors who are looking at investing, and discussions are on. So it's again a journey. I mean, it's not like one day you can close the deal.
Yeah.
Basically, the investor looks at you as a person, whether you are able to pull that ship through, whether you are able to captain that ship through, and what are you looking at. Like, if, let's say, when you are investing in any company or in any, even in a bank, you expect some returns, 12%, 8% interest rate. generally. That's what we are looking for. So similarly, an investor, when he is investing in the company, he is looking at the risk part of it, because company may or may not succeed. Out of 20, hardly five, they make it through to a commercial stage. But then those five who make it, are they able to give the returns? So there is some, I would say, some change, because earlier Indian VCs, Indian uh, investors used to look at startup would not be successful. We try. I mean, I'm sure every entrepreneur would try his startup to be successful, but then there are challenges. So that mindset has changed now. They understand that it is a risk which they have to take, and they are willing to participate with the entrepreneur to ensure that it attains that success of that. So ultimately, when an entrepreneur or a founder is making a pitch, he is talking to the investor, what he is showing, his vision, his story, his idea of growth. If you can, maybe in 2 minutes, if you can make that click, then yes, the deal is done. You do not have to pitch a lot of time. It's just that how you come across as what you believe in, your strength, your vision of how much returns can you provide to an investor when the company goes to commercial scale. What are your thoughts and expectations and ideas? So that makes a lot of change. That is what I believe, that any founder, when they talk, they should talk basically on their own part, what they are, what is their background, plus what is the company doing, and what is their vision, how are they going to, in 5 years, what is their vision of how much the company can grow. And there has to be some semblance of, you know the back end data coming in from. It's not just like हवा में ही कुछ number दे दिए कुछ. So that would help.
Then, so in these cases, when a founder is actually before even going to an investor, what are the key metrics that a founder is looking at and an investor, other than how much he will be able to earn out of it? What are those metrics, if you can talk about it?
From the point of view of investor,
And the founders as well, what they should be tracking in order to keep a track of their business, and from an investor's POV as well.
so different kind of businesses would have different matrices. I think like when you're in B2B, then they talk about how many paying customers you have, what's your CAV, CAS, CLV, CAC ratio or something like that. Or sometimes when you are in B2C, or those app kind of things, how many unique hits or unique users you have. Ultimately, it comes to what is the revenue you're making? Is it growing? Where are you spending the money on? If you are spending in the right direction, then you should have some growth. Is that growth visible? I mean, quantifiable, visible? You can show that, yes, last year my revenue was maybe $100,000. Today, with the investment, I am able to achieve bigger growth, and that's what my path looks like. That would be a simple way of convincing. But other than that, the matrices which you are in, the business you are in, you think of what you can show as growth. Uh, in our case, like for example, in Trinano, when we talk of number of customers we have, number of paying customers, and how many of them we are converting into a regular business. That helps. Another could be, are you able to cut down on a per product? Let's say your pricing is on a per product. My variable cost is this much, my fixed cost is this much. Are you able to cut down on that? That shows growth. If you are able to cut down on those cost part of it, that means you're optimizing. That means you're trying to save something. These would help to convince yourself as well as the investor.
Makes sense. And just curious, what is the current revenue that Nano is doing?
So last year we closed around 1 crore rupees. This year we expect to be at least three times more. And next year we already have some orders in hand. So that would be a big jump.
Understood. And what's next for Dr. Harsh and for Tri Nano? Are you building more products, more into renewable energy sector, or you're just helping now out with all the startups?
I hope we can look at Once the product is stabilized, then they can handle day to day operations. I'm more of a person who likes to take challenges. There are other applications of the coating as well. Industries where we can look at green buildings. A lot of glass is being used in building construction. We can use our coating on green buildings for glass facade, glass windows. We have also looked at use of the coating in green hydrogen. Again, something we are looking at maybe around 3 to 4 years down the line. We are also looking at using the coating directly on the cell. Some research work is going on that. So those things have to continue. As a founder, as an entrepreneur, I would say that once you have a product, it's not that that's the end. No, you have to continue, look at how you can improve upon it, or maybe find other uses, find other industrial use cases for that. That's the way to grow. Because in certain time, maybe today you have a very good product, fantastic product, you've got a good revenue, but after 5 years you may not know that that product life cycle is how much. And if some suppose the competition comes in, then what are you going to do? You have to look at continuously reshaping, redeveloping, maybe making alterations based on what the market requires, plus doing some research part of it. That I is the key.
Something that everyone who has gone solar, specifically the bigger plants, they are struggling for the generation. A lot of time they are not maintaining it, they are not cleaning it. I see a lot of systems like even on the metro stations in Delhi. If they are not being cleaned, they would say that it is not generating as per the expectation. And that's what stops a lot of people from going solar altogether.
Absolute. Bang on. Yes, absolutely correct. I'll tell you one example of my sister only. My sister and my friends, my colleagues, they had installed solar on their rooftop. And in Rajasthan, and I mean, he's from Assam. So they have issues of clean water. For drinking water, you have issues. How will you get water for cleaning the solar panel? So they normally use either borewell water or whatever water is left out to clean it. And there's so much dust because India, we have either construction, or in Rajasthan, there is a lot of dust. Plus, we have bird droppings, other issues as well. So if you don't maintain it, then the efficiency starts dropping. And maybe in a year or two, it has dropped to so much so that so you lose faith in the whole system. When you regularly maintain and clean, it is good, but regular maintenance and cleaning, getting on the rooftop of a house or getting water is not easy. So we use technology to overcome those obstacles and still get the power output which we can use for our daily use and cut down on the fossil fuel power usage.
Absolutely. And that is a big step towards cleaner energy for a greener tomorrow, which I mean, the more people work towards it, we become a better place to live. We need more people like Dr. Harsh working on such things, which is making the whole infra more efficient, which is already there. Like we see such big megawatt sort of acres of plants installed, but if we can increase the energy generation from there, that would really help us go ahead.
Right now in Delhi, I know what kind of smog you have, the pollution. They say
Yes.
24 cigarettes a day. My
Yes.
God. Yeah, that's horrible. Not only your generation, but the generation which is coming up, they also are living in this pollution. So we have to cut down on this carbon emissions, cut down on this smog, and look for cleaner alternatives.
I hope the authority is working more on cleaner energy solutions and increasing the efficiency of the existing plants. It is a very good step to just start. And as you said, this is a full this city is now full of smog, and we cannot go out without cleaner air filters.
Becomes more economically viable. Like you get for your resources, you're getting a better output. In terms of economics of scale, it's more affordable, and it can continue to give you that for 10 years of life. That's something which nobody today, any coating is able to do it. We guarantee 10 years of life.
Yes, and that's absolutely amazing. the work that you are doing, and the amount of time you have spent. Because this is not like most people, they don't spend a lot of time on research because it needs a lot of time and money to actually arrive at a solution that you have done.
Yeah. I feel that today's, the founders we have, they are a good breed. They are a good group. And with the ecosystem in place, like what you are doing, that also helps. It helps to answer the questions. Sometimes they are reluctant to ask, or shy to ask. So that kind of culture, that kind of ecosystem has to be there. And I'm sure that with that, India is going to shine. That 2047, the dream what Prime Minister has, would come true.
Absolutely. With that, we'll close this podcast. Thank you so much, Dr. Harsh, for sharing your journey. It has been really inspiring. I mean, specifically for me, and I'm sure people who will be viewing this, from two people that you started to scaling to so many countries, to actually talking to people, understanding what they need, and giving the whole dedication and commitment into innovating something, and then going back to them, pivoting, coming back to India, talking to right people, and I'm sure it would have taken hell lot of efforts. I mean, you make it sound very simpler, but I'm sure like how many people you would have met to actually find the right kind of people who would give you then right contacts or right suggestions to go ahead, and the right investors. So thank you so much for sharing that with us today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you, Usha, and I think the gratitude we have. I mean, I'm grateful to you for giving me this opportunity. This helps. You know, some contacts like yours or somewhere else would help build this network. So somewhere we help each other, and that's the spirit. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching this. Let me know if you're building something exciting, and let's exchange thoughts on it. I would love to see all those comments.
Great.